Well, hello everybody, and we are officially 365 days of living in a van.
Wow.
Off-grid.
1 full year.
1 full year, and I really don't know where 1 full year's gone, do we?
It's flown.
So, we want to talk about what we've learnt, what we'd do differently.
Mistakes we've made.
Tips, you name it.
Yeah.
We'll try and fit it all in this video about our journey of spending 1 whole year in a van. And the first thing we first thing we learnt very quickly was the original van we started in wasn't big enough to live in.
Space is key.
Space is key, but space comes at a price.
It does.
As most of you will know, this 9-metre van we've got sometimes have trouble parking it. So although we've got the more space, we can easily live in this.
We can, but I think the first van we learnt, we needed storage. Space and storage.
Yes.
I think you can't get rid of everything when you move into a van. You have to keep some things.
Yeah.
And you've got to have adequate room to put these things. So your van has to cope with that accordingly, doesn't it?
I think it depends on whether you are a lone male or a lone female doing it, a family, obviously
dogs.
A family with a dog, you need even more stuff.
Yeah.
Because obviously your kids need bikes, computers, stuff to keep them occupied.
Yeah.
So should you be a lone male who's doing it, or a lone female, obviously something smaller would suit. Yeah, it depends on your needs really. If you don't have a lot of needs, a small van is quite ample for doing what we do.
Yeah.
But the thing you have to learn when you first go off, we went off around Scotland.
Yeah.
Did quite a bit of Scotland when we first set off. And the thing you've got to try and learn is you're not on holiday. Because for us it was just like we're on holiday.
Yeah.
It still is a bit like we're still on holiday, but you've got to learn how to do things. Now, if you can go on campsites all the time, it makes your life easier. But if you're wanting to save money and not do that, finding things like water, places to park, places to empty your waste, all that kind of thing, you have to start learning that very fast. And
you do.
And it is harder in the UK than it is in Europe.
It's much harder, but I think the first few months is a pure learning curve. Whether you've done, weekends away, caravanning, whether you've done that for years on end, when you're actually physically living in a van, the first few months you learn so much. Yeah,
well, you learn that. Like I say, when we first set off, it's just like you're on a big holiday. You think, we're going home soon,
Yeah.
But actually you're not. And I suppose you can treat it like an holiday. It's probably different for us than everybody else that does it.
Yeah.
When we set off, YouTube for us was paying that little. It wouldn't even buy...
It was pence, wasn't it? It was pence when we first set off.
You wouldn't even pay for one campsite a week on the money we earned when we started doing this journey.
No.
Compared to now where we're earning more money.
But we didn't really think that it would take off like it did we?
No, we didn't.
It's gone crazy beyond what we ever thought it would. I mean, we were all set to travel last year, see the year out travelling, and then go back to roots and work this year to fund life.
Yeah, so depending on your situation of doing van life, depends on work circumstances, family members who are dependent on you. If you have one of your parents or anything and you go around and care, so that's another thing to consider when you're doing stuff like this. So what have we learned? What have we learnt? Yeah, we've learnt quite a bit, to be fair.
We have.
We've learnt how to survive, how to park up for nothing. We don't always do wild camping. We do probably 50% wild camping these days. 50-60%, probably a little bit more than site or airs, or if we're abroad, because when we come abroad it's a bit more like a holiday / van life, whatever you want to call it, living.
It's a lot easier over here, isn't it? Over in France.
It is a lot easier over here, but it's probably a bit like it's more like a holiday, work,
Yeah, all
and
combined
living
into one.
all combined into one. So our take on van life and living in a van and surviving for 365 days without killing each other,
Yeah.
is probably different to other people's.
Oh yeah.
Some people are obviously forced into vans because they can't afford anything else. We chose to do this kind of life so we could travel more, see more of the world.
Just live life a bit, really.
And live life a bit, right? We got not having to do the 9 to 5. Obviously, we didn't do 9 to 5 jobs, but the 9 to 5 working, where you're going to work for
being stuck in that whole rat race kind of thing.
a few weeks off. So our lifestyle as van lifers is different to other people's who's a van lifers. Like I've said before, there's different types of van lifers. The old school van lifers, and then there's like a new one. Some people say it's like a trend, and people are just jumping on it because it's a trend.
Yeah.
I suppose it is in a way.
Yeah, I suppose it can be. It can be, but I'll tell you one lesson I've learned, and I will always stick by this lesson, especially if you're staying off grid, go with your gut feeling. If you pull up somewhere to stop and you think, it doesn't feel right, move.
Yeah.
Go with it, move, because it's normally correct.
It's not for everybody. We've had a few people ask us, about finding park ups and that. And if you're wanting to do this and park up for nothing to save money, you've got to be prepared to park in some rubbish places.
You've got to be prepared to use lay-bys, car parks.
Yeah.
It's not all picturesque.
It's not all what you see on Instagram.
It's not all feathers and fairies and pretty places. It's far from it. And I think you've got to understand that before you set off on your journey, because it's like we've slept on side of the main road, haven't we, before, in just like parking areas, like lorry pull-ins, because we've had enough, we're tired, and we just want to go to bed. So you just have to, sometimes you have to make do. It's not all pretty.
People that have watched us will see we've parked in some absolutely stunning places.
Yeah. Oh God,
There've been some cracking sites. We've parked on the edges of the roads. We've parked in lay-bys.
Yeah.
You've got to be prepared to you've got to be prepared to more or less park sort of anywhere. But don't believe everything you see on YouTube as well, because there's loads and loads of channels out there that can't get views for love nor money. So they have to fake being broke into, robbed.
Yeah, scams.
Huge disasters, scams. A load of it's made up. It does happen. People do get things happen
They
to them.
do, but not as much as you're made to believe.
Not as much as some people make out. It's annoying to see it, because you think some people see it and think, oh, God.
It starts to give you the wrong impression, doesn't it?
We've not encountered any problems really.
Touch wood.
Just
Touch
the odd little one.
Yeah.
We had the woman in the Peak District who said told us to switch off. Just little things like that. Nothing really.
Yeah.
We've had people, boy racers in the night round us. We've had that guy that pulled up next to us in the lay-by and sat there in the dark looking something in his car for ages.
Yeah.
We've had little things like that, but you're going to get stuff like that. That's just inevitable.
That's just life. Yeah.
What I would say is have some good security on your van. Some cameras on the outside will really help as well. So have a little bit of van security if you're a bit worried about things like that.
Yeah.
Park with other people.
Yeah.
If you go to places like Castleton, there's always people there in
Castleton's
vans.
a lovely place to stay.
So some people think safety in numbers.
Yeah. But I mean, you don't have to go all out and try and spend loads of money on security. You can do simple things like, with your seat belts, you can put your seat belts through your door handles and click them
back in, so
it stops.
Makes your cab doors secure.
Yeah, you can't open the cab doors. It's simple things like that. Cost you nothing, but they're added security.
They are. So you got to think about security. Finding places to park as well. So we sometimes just find them, stumble across them. Sometimes we just find them on Google Maps and go to them. If you park responsibly, you shouldn't really have a problem.
We never really have we? We've always been very responsible, as you all know who've been watching us for quite some time. We're not silly, we don't take the mickey, we're very clean, we leave no trace, and I think that's key, isn't it?
Yeah, we've parked in some places that have had signs up and it says no overnight parking. It'll be a simple sign with just them three words.
Yeah, just the words on it,
we spoke to people, we stop here all the time. Them type of places will probably just do one night and then not go back there. So as long as you're responsible, if you're not blocking somebody's driveway, don't be parking outside people's houses. And you won't ever have a problem.
No.
We're fortunate enough to earn a bit of money, so we can go onto campsites to get rid of waste, charge stuff up, because what you have to think about as well living in a van is power.
Yes.
And winter time,
Power's a big thing in winter.
and you see it on all the Facebook forums, people say about, you know, I've got all this solar and I never have any problems. Well, you won't if you're not running anything.
Yeah.
But if you're wanting to start using air fryers, electric pans, if you're wanting to run computers, TVs, stuff, right, you're going to start need to generate power, and that's what we learnt. We did struggle a bit over winter, even in Spain. We still struggled to have enough power. So what's the key to that? People say, well, put more batteries in. Well, you still got to charge them.
The thing is, you can only generate solar when there's something in the sky to provide the power.
The sun is so low in the sky.
Yeah, it's so weak in the winter.
So we have got fixed panels which are mounted flat on the roof. Now, should you think about it, and it would probably be better to have like fold-out panels, so you can aim them at the sun. You'll get a lot more power that way, but then there's the risk of having them outside when you're not there. And
it's if it's a windy day, you've got to anchor them down, and it does create problems not having them fixed to the roof.
So we've learnt about power over, but we use quite a bit of power in this van.
We do.
For Zach's laptop, for Starlink.
Yeah.
So power is something you have to think about. Other things like getting rid of rubbish, probably the easiest thing you'll ever do.
There's always bins everywhere, isn't there?
Yeah.
If they're little bins, don't overdo it. Just put a bit of it in one, and then if you see another, take a bit into another bin. Don't overflow bins.
But when it comes to getting rid of waste, so rubbish, you find bins everywhere. If you're in a park and it's a little bin, don't load it right to the top. We just put in a few bins normally. Then when it comes to getting rid of like your grey waste out your tank and your black waste out your toilet, some campsites let you do it for a few quid. Some don't.
We've encountered mostly those that don't, haven't we?
Yes.
Where we've been to ask.
We've been to a lot of places where they don't.
Yeah.
Now grey waste is basically just your sink waste. So sometimes we have to go and find like a lane.
There's nothing what we use that's harmful to anything.
Yeah, so sometimes you have to do that. Toilet, sometimes we have to use public toilets to empty the toilet. Some people frown upon it, but it's the same if on a campsite, the toilets and well, it's not really chemical waste, but your black waste toilets, it all goes into the same drain.
Of course it does. The thing
that's a last resort kind of thing, because people do ask, you know, what do I do with it?
Yeah, I mean we've encountered a couple of times where we've really struggled, haven't we? So we've had to find. We've been on Google Maps. Google Maps is your best friend when you're living off grid. And we found a little public toilets out the way. You don't use them in the town centre.
Yeah, you don't want to be wheeling your cassette in front of everybody, because it's frowned upon.
It really is. But if you go in like I do, you take gloves, you take the anti-bac wipes, and when you've finished, you come away and you can't tell you've been in. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, so not everybody will agree on how to get rid of your toilet waste, but if you can't find a campsite to let you do it, I mean, generally speaking, we don't use public toilets very, very often at all.
I think we've only ever used them twice, maybe.
If you come to Europe, you'll never use them because they have service points in.
And they're everywhere, and they're free normally for your black waste and your grey.
When we go to Kate and Bay, there's a service point up at Scarborough. So generally speaking, we're all right on that front.
Yeah.
But people do want to know what to do with it. Yeah. Some people won't agree with it, but that's just life.
And the thing is as well, you can also have a backup toilet cassette. If you're lucky enough to be able to buy a backup one like we did with our first van, it then lasts you a lot longer. I mean, we use at the minute, well not we, because I can't, we 5 litre bottle for pee bottles.
But not while we're over here, because it's so easy.
No, because we don't need to. But in the UK, the pee bottle, it really does do a huge favour, doesn't it, to us? For
the UK make it hard.
Yeah.
We've seen it in Norfolk, where there were some public toilets and it says not for emptying your toilet cassette, you'll be fined. Now, wouldn't it be better to spend the money putting an L-SAN point outside, right? Which you can buy these ready-made L-SAN points and you just pipe it into the same drain, right? To put one of them in rather than to put all these signs up everywhere, because people are just not going to take any notice of these signs anyway. So for me, the council should think, well, right, we've got a problem with them tipping it. I don't know how much them L-SAN points are.
Yeah. Let's provide them.
And obviously, if the council are fitting it, it's probably going to cost tens of thousands of pounds, because it'll be a three-man job,
Yeah.
3 or 4 vehicles.
Yeah.
We'll have to get some contractors in. We'll have to do this.
Yeah.
Just get one put in, and it'll get rid of the problem.
It encourages, if you've got a facility like that, it encourages people to come to the area. They then put in, if it be a coffee and a bit of toast in the morning at a cafe, they're putting back into the local economy, which is what we need to do. So if that local council will provide that little service, it would make all the difference to people like us, and to put in, like I said, the money back into small places.
Yeah, some people will argue. I seen it on the other day on Facebook about Scarborough seafront, and people were saying about, council will soon shut it down. The council like the motorhomes parked around there, and they don't mind as long as you pay and all that.
Yeah.
And somebody else said that, well, they're not putting anything back into the economy because they're cooking in the van. But how do you know? People judge people on what they don't know, and people will judge you on doing this kind of life, because obviously a lot of them will be jealous of your type of life. They won't agree with how you do things, how you get rid of waste, how you get power, what you do. People will just judge you anyway.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's one cafe on just talking about Scarborough. There's a little cafe on North Bay seafront, and they have stated that if it wasn't for motorhomers spending the winter there, they'd have to shut. Which just proves the point.
So, like overseas in Europe, they put airs in, especially in France.
Yeah.
Good at it, putting them in little villages.
Oh yeah.
What you tend to find is, even in the bigger places, they'll have a car park, and they'll have motorhome bays, because they think, where's the motorhomes going to park? So we'll build them some bays. In the UK, they go, no, we don't motorhomes in it, so we'll put barriers up. And
totally the opposite attitude.
Force you away. So we've learned, as we've gone around the country, that some places are really motorhome friendly,
and some are very the opposite, very anti-motorhome,
and some just want to put signs everywhere, rather than trying to address the situation. I can understand though that in some areas van life is moving, and then they all set up. You see, we've seen it in Spain, and they have all sorts outside the vans. Some people don't like it. You tend to find it's the locals. If it's a dog walking area, they don't like it. So try and keep yourself, I don't know,
as contained as you can when you're parked up, I think.
Yeah, as contained as you can.
Don't take the mickey.
Yeah, but obviously you've got to live your life, and finding free places to stop, it's quite hard in the UK.
It is hard in the UK.
There is places though, they are out there, but on the other hand, you can also have like a seasonal pitch. Yeah, it's something we're probably looking at, having somewhere where we can have a bit of a base. Obviously it's a bit different for us than it would be for you, because some people want to do van life and they'll just live in a caravan, or a static caravan, or a normal van, and they'll get a seasonal pitch and just live on that all year, or they'll have
there's a lot of different ways of doing it, isn't there, when you're living in a van. It's what each individual person wants. I mean, the UK are starting to put in more and more of these Campra approved airs, which I think we found one in Penrith, didn't we? When Zach had his accident the other year, that we stayed on for a good few nights. That was £10 a night. Now that's kind of more on the affordable margin, isn't it, of £10 a night, and you've got all your services there.
Some are really good.
Yeah.
Some are a bit overpriced. You tend to find that as well. There was one in, I forget where it was now. It was another one on Facebook. Somebody posted it. And this council said, we'll let van life stop in the car park overnight for 20 quid. Well, people don't want to pay 20 quid just to park in a car park. No. Unless you're providing electricity and all the services.
Yeah. So that's silly. That's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Some are a bit greedy with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, lessons what we have learnt for us personally is we really need somewhere to base ourselves.
Yes.
So we can keep going back to, rather than just making do. Because when a lot of people know we're from Retford. When we're back there, we either have to park in a lay-by or to our secret location to do things. And we can't get an awning out, we can't get the barbecue out, we can't get chairs out or anything.
If it's a nice day, you're still confined to your van parking like that, and that's not how you want to be.
We'd like to be able to have an awning out, table and chairs out, and say, I'll just sit in that barbecue
I'll
out
kick back,
today.
put my feet up, have a cuppa, sit in the sun. You can't, can you, when you're parking like that? So there is that to think about.
So we've learnt that the other thing is, what you don't probably see, because we don't really film a lot of it, is the stressfulness of trying to find somewhere to park.
Yeah.
You go we had it in Wales before we even went full time.
Oh, we did.
You find somewhere you think suitable, you turn up there, it's either not suitable, there's signs up everywhere, there's other people there,
or it's
you can't get in,
or, yeah,
whatever, and you think, right, that was our plan, we ain't got a backup plan.
Yeah, what do we do now?
Then you get your phone out and you've got no signal, no service to find somewhere else. So you're having to drive.
You're just driving aimlessly then, yeah.
Then you get a signal, you're trying to find somewhere to park so you can look, and it can get very, very stressful looking for places. And we've had it before where we've been to 5 or 6 places and not got in.
Yeah, consecutively.
And you just feel like saying, okay, I'm going home.
Yeah. But you can't, because you are home.
Because you are home.
So you've got to take a deep breath and carry on until you find somewhere.
It's probably took us nearly a year to get to the point where you go, right, that one won't do, right, okay.
Yeah.
To start with.
And do things calmly and deal with it.
To start with, you just get so frustrated with each other. And
you do. You start biting at each other, don't you? And it's neither of you's fault, but you've only got each other in a small area to take that frustration out on.
Yeah, so you have to learn to think, right, we can't get in here.
Yeah. What do we do now?
Or try and make 2 plans when you go. We still don't do it. We still don't plan 2 places. We're still rubbish at it.
We came here without a plan B.
Yeah, 365 days off grid. What have we learned? We haven't learned nothing about finding places.
We've learned things, we just don't put them into place, do we?
No, we forget. But we know our regular little spots where we can go to.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, there'll always be a space. So looking at it that way, it's not too bad. So another thing that we have learned about living in a van, 3 of you,
is to take a deep breath.
You're with each other 24/7.
Yeah.
It can be very, very stressful being around each other all the time.
Yes.
You need to give each other a bit of space. If you're a regular viewer, you'll see that sometimes we leave Zach to game a bit or to do whatever while we go out, so we get a break away from each other, because not having a break away from each other is probably the worst thing you can do.
It causes problems.
It can cause problems. It's not all rosy, it's not all Instagrammy.
It's not.
It's real life.
It's not all skipping through daisy fields with the sun beaming on you. It's far from it.
It's not. But what other things we've learnt, if you have prescriptions like we do, prescriptions are very, very easy to get, aren't they? They
are, and people, that was one of the most common questions when we first did this.
Yeah.
What do you do for your prescriptions? We know you collect prescriptions because we said we've got to pick up, blah, blah, you know. The thing is, you must stay with the surgeries that you're with. Stay on the register, don't leave them, because you will struggle to get into another with the way the world's going. Your prescriptions, take off your nominated store. So, for instance, ours went straight to the Boots that was downstairs. Remove your nominated store. Your prescriptions will then go onto something that's called the NHS Spine. You can then walk into any pharmacy in the UK. All you need is your NHS number. You give them your NHS number, boom, your prescription's there, and they'll do it for you. It's not it's not a bigger problem as what people think it is.
No, and also things like parcels, you can use Amazon lockers.
Yeah, in-post lockers, there's all sorts.
Obviously, we have a family member whose address we use because you need an address for official documents like bank.
Yes, so we're very lucky and they know we appreciate that.
And stuff like that. So you need an official address for some stuff like that. So we do get parcels delivered there. Obviously, we do a few reviews for YouTube, so we get parcels delivered there. So you do need an address, ideally. I think some people have found ways around it, but if you haven't got bank accounts and stuff, it's probably a bit different. But because obviously we've got bank accounts, we've registered as self-employed for the YouTube side, we have to have a actual address.
An address, yeah.
So, or if you're self-employed and you're a business person and you're doing van life, you still need an address to do it. So a number of people use family members, stuff like that. So that's quite easy. Other stuff like people worry about gas as well. We've got the refillable gas system. People worry about all the gas stations that are going to be closed down, so you can't get gas there.
Morrison's, for example.
You'll always probably be able to get refillable gas. You just have to be prepared to travel further. And the way we do it is whenever we go anywhere in the UK, it's different abroad.
Yeah, it's different over here.
Every other petrol station's got gas in.
Yeah.
you will in the UK is when you plan to go somewhere, find somewhere on that route that does gas and just keep topping it up.
That's what we, if we're in the UK and we come to a fuel station for fuel and we go, oh, they've got LPG, we'll get the fuel and we'll top up.
Yeah, every time.
Because you don't know when you're going to see the next one that's got LPG available. So every time we do that, we top the LPG up. And I think that's the best way to do it. Don't let it run down so low.
Yeah, so as far as learning things from van life, I think you learn a lot about yourself as well.
I think you do. I think you definitely do. You learn how to deal with yourself, if you like.
But you need hobbies, stuff like that, because you get bored stiff just sat in a van.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, everybody's different. Some people can quite happily sit there all day watching telly YouTube. We very rarely watch the TV these days. We watch the odd YouTuber and a couple of little series on Discovery, but that's about it, isn't it?
Yeah. But as you know us, we like to walk. So we will say, don't know where we're going to have a walk to, but let's put our shoes on and see where it takes us.
Yeah.
And I think that's our bit of our way to chill, isn't it? Just to walk, to look at things, to just enjoy the area that you're in, and you come back and you just feel a bit more relaxed.
Yeah, you do. Yes, I think that about wraps up our story of what we've learned. There's probably loads we've missed because we didn't write anything down. I thought about writing it all down and having it on a board over there, but we haven't written it down. We just put the camera up and said, come on, let's film this video about 365 days, because it's a milestone of being off grid. Some people say, because you go and get gas, you get diesel, you're not really off grid. But let's say living in a van then, or van life, full-time van, whatever you want to call it, boondocking. There's loads of different.
There's a lot of terms
nomads,
for it. Yeah.
There's loads of different terms for it.
Yeah.
But we have not been in a house. We've been living in this, well, not this van, but this van, van for 365 days. So we just shared with you what we've actually learnt.
I think the biggest question is, do you miss the house? I don't.
Not really. No.
Sometimes I miss the kitchen.
I miss the base.
Proper kitchen.
Having a base, and when you've got a house, it's a base. We haven't got that. So I think
which is why we're trying to do what we're trying to do, isn't it? And
I don't miss the house because you never used to be in it.
No.
Because we used to either be at work.
Well, you'd be at work all day, wouldn't you?
Or away in the van because we liked going away.
So we were only there to eat, sleep, eat, and then you leave again. And that's it.
Like everybody, but some people, for us, if we could have rented the house out,
we would have done.
But we couldn't do this and rent the house out, so we had to sell our house.
Yeah.
Basically buy a better van, which we bought this one. We've still got savings.
Yeah.
Could we buy another house? We couldn't afford another house. We'd have to
go back to work full time.
We don't earn enough money off YouTube to warrant to actually pay towards a mortgage to get a house.
No.
So we're not in that sort of position to do that.
No.
YouTube's good. That can be hard as well, but
yeah, it can.
This is more a video about 365 days in the van and what we've learnt. We've learnt it.
I think the thing is, if you're thinking about doing it, do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. You can always do a U-turn if you find out 6 months down the line you don't like it. There's always a way round going back.
The biggest advice I can give anybody who thinks about doing it, forget all the other facts about van life, toilets and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to park anywhere to sleep?
Yeah.
Like in a lay-by flat?
Ask yourself that.
If you're not, it's not for you.
No.
We got rudely interrupted then. The camera shut down because it had overheated.
It went, I've got too hot, I can't do it anymore.
The problem with the Sony ZV-1 is when you've been running it constantly, because we're recording in 4K, most cameras will overheat. So we're just saying about, if our advice is, if you want to do what we do, or van life, or caravan life, whatever it might be, that's not in a house, off-grid, just do it if you want to do it, but be prepared, especially if you're doing it how we do it, to park in some rubbish places. All the other stuff is quite easy. Power's easy, really. It's hard to keep lots of power in the van, but if you don't have big powered items and you can power manage things like that, that's other ways round.
Yeah, well, as you've seen, we do have a little generator, a very quiet one.
Generator is a key, and a few van lifers will tell you that.
Yeah.
Proper van lifers.
But again, if you need that generator to top your power up, don't do it in the middle of a busy place, because that just gives us a bad name.
It does.
Go somewhere quiet, put it on for an hour.
I tell you where's a good place to run the generator, we've done it. Motorway laybys,
Yes,
because they're so noisy.
Well, people only park up for a pee break or a stretch of the legs,
and you're not hear the generator over the sound of the traffic. We've done that a few times.
We've done that a few times, yeah.
That's a really good place to run one.
Yeah.
I mean, we've run it at Caton Bay where we've parked, but when there's been nobody there.
Yeah, we've had no neighbours, so it doesn't matter.
So we have run it in the odd place like that, but yeah, you can use that for powering your vehicle, whatever you may be in. But yeah, our advice is it's 365 days in.
We're all still alive. We've not killed each other.
We're set for another 365 days at least.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Hopefully.
10, 20 years at least. However long we live for, I think.
Who knows?
But yeah, we're going to carry on doing exactly what we've been doing. Not going to change anything.
No.
We might find a seasonal, as we've been talking about, as a bit of a base. Other than that, we're going to carry on travelling around. We've got how many plans in us heads? We've probably got at least 5 years worth of travelling.
Places we want to go, places we want to see and visit and experience. And
but if you're watching us and you're not subscribed, do please consider subscribing. We don't generally ask, but we do know we have quite a big audience that aren't subscribed.
Yes.
So do consider subscribing, because it does really help.
And it doesn't cost you anything.
Especially when we get offers of products to review to fund our life. Subscription numbers do matter for some.
Oh, they do, and as well, you see, when we hit 10,000 subs, we did a giveaway, didn't we?
Yeah, so we'll do another one at 20,000.
20, yeah. We hit 20, we will do another good giveaway.
We'll find something good to give away.
We'll find another good company, like we did last time.
Yeah, so I think that wraps up our waffle about 365 days living in a van. So I want to thank you all for watching. Thanks for all the lovely comments you give us.
You can now wake up after falling asleep.
Yep, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.
See you in the next one.